The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, offering personalized solar energy solutions and ongoing customer care, proudly serving communities throughout the Pioneer Valley. Northeast-solar.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Visiting Angels West Springfield, providing home care for seniors and veterans in Hampden County, including Pocket RN, a virtual Medicare-approved dementia care program. visitingangels.com/West Springfield.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, we'll hear from singer-songwriter Gillian Grogan, who will be the first headliner of a new music series hosted by the Second Congregational Church in Greenfield, along with the organizer of that series, Mike Pfitzer.
Plus, we'll get to taste the changes at Randall's farm in Ludlow over the years from the third generation currently at its helm, Karen Randall.
But first, the news from Capitol Hill,
which is resonating ripples from Maine and Texas this week for Representative McGovern.
Couldn't you?
All right, hot, but other than that, okay.
Are the skies all yellow there?
No, I mean, the skies, I'm walking now, they're hazy, but still blue, but just oppressively hot.
Did your constituents tell you it looked apocalyptic in your district yesterday? I've never seen it like that. It looked like a tornado was about to hit. It was like yellow all day.
Oh my God, I didn't hear that. No.
Yeah, we were supposed to have a stargazing event at Black Birch Vineyard in Hatfield, but we had to just talk about the stars because it was Canadian smoke was all over the sky.
How is it today? How's the weather today?
It's better. There's still a little smoke out there, but it doesn't look like we're all going to die in some crazy Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse type event. So that's good, I guess.
You just die for another reason. Yeah,
I know. Time for our weekly check-in with U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts, Worcester's own Congressman Jim McGovern, in a segment I call McGoverning with McGovern. There has been more disturbing news in the world of ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, who have twice again fatally shot and killed two people, essentially in the last week. One here in New England, in Biddeford, Maine, this past Monday. 28-year-old Colombian father, Joan Sebastian Duran Guerrero. The second person ICE agents have killed in less than a week, as I mentioned. On July 7th, an ICE officer fatally shot Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, a Mexican national and father of three who'd lived in the U.S. for decades. That was in Houston. You've long been a critic of ICE. This increasingly is becoming a matter of life and death. There is a contentious election in Maine right now. Apart from voting, what can be done to stop this?
Well, I think voting is going to be the key here. We have a White House that's out of control, that doubles down on supporting ICE when these terrible tragedies happen. And we have a Republican-controlled House and Senate that are too afraid to even raise an eyebrow and protest over what's going on. So I don't know what else we can do other than to continue to protest and to vote. We have to win something back so we can be a check on this administration. We can withhold funding. We can do something. But right now, I mean, other than protesting and relying on local jurisdictions to do investigations or courts to follow up, I mean, I don't know what else we can do. And so elections do matter. And this is one of the reasons why I hope the election turns away from the Republicans in November.
I think it's easy for people who live in Massachusetts and in New England to think that we are in an immune blue bubble that will keep our folks protected from things like this that happen in other parts of the country. Does the fact that this happened in Maine give you greater pause than when these things happen elsewhere, Minnesota, other parts of the country?
I mean, it gives me pause wherever it happens, but it could happen in Massachusetts. I will tell you that I represent communities where ICE has been present, where ICE is parked across the street from a Spanish American center, or where people are being questioned. I had a student at one of our colleges ask me, his parents are Dominican, but he was born in the United States. He wanted to know whether or not carrying his passport would be sufficient to have ICE release him if they stopped him for questioning. I mean, we're not immune to anything here. What is happening in Maine, what is happening in Texas could easily happen here. And so we have to be vigilant and we have to push back. I mean, this is a time to protest. This is a time to use our voices and to demand more from our government.
Well, one thing that you have asked from our government in response to what happened with the Supreme Court and the lifting of the temporary protected status of Haitian immigrants, or them allowing the president to remove that, you, according to the Daily Hampshire Gazette today, in an article by Samuel Gelinas, have led 80 members of Congress to urge the Department of Homeland Security to extend temporary protected status for Salvadorans. What's the likelihood that that will happen given what's gone on with temporary protected status and Haitians?
Well, I mean, obviously it's an uphill battle with this administration. but we don't want to give up hope on that. And we're still trying to persuade the Speaker of the House to allow us to have an up or down vote in the House on this. Because I think if we did, we could actually, like we did with Haitians in the House, a majority believe that temporary protected status should be extended. But these are people who are working in our communities. These are good. These are people who are working in our communities.
Who was that?
That was Benny Thompson, who oversees Homeland Security for the Democrats. He's from Mississippi. Yeah, you've seen him. He was on the impeachment trial as well. But anyway, but these are people who actually, work hard, make our community stronger, pay taxes, law-abiding. They make us better. And we're going after these people? It's outrageous. And by the way, the situation in El Salvador is not safe. They got a right-wing fascist leader who has this notorious prison where people go to disappear and they end up getting tortured, and sometimes they end up dead. This is not a safe place to go back to. When I helped author the temporary protected status statute when I was an aide to Joe Moakley, originally was for Salvadorans, and was basically to protect people, who, if we sent them back, would face a dangerous situations. It could be natural disasters, or it could be a generalized fear of persecution and violence. So this deserves to be extended.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, it seems that we have initiated the second war with Iran. It's Iran War II already. Friday, the president formally notified Congress that the U.S. has resumed strikes on Iran and now is claiming that the Pentagon has another 60 days to strike Iran before the timeline that's specified in the War Powers Act runs out. They're just starting the clock over again. It seems that Democrats are turning their focus away from votes on war powers resolutions to a $1.15 trillion defense policy bill that's scheduled for a floor vote in the House next week. Is that the new strategy to rein in what's going on in Iran?
Well, we're trying everything that's available to us, including invoking war powers and trying to defeat this unbelievably expensive defense bill at $1.6 trillion. I think Dr. Strangelove would be impressed by that figure. But there's a figure out yesterday that says that we have spent well over $100 billion, that's billion with a B, $1 billion on this war in Iran. That's insane. Today, we were voting on a bill on the House floor that essentially would cut veterans' benefits to pay for other veterans' benefits. The VFW is strongly opposed to it, but they're bringing it forward. And so they're going to cut veterans' benefits because they say they don't have the money. But $100 billion in monies that have not offset, not paid for this stupid war, this illegal war in Iran. And there's no end in sight. So all these billions and billions of dollars being spent on this, while people in this country are getting screwed. It's outrageous.
I know that this budget reconciliation process is messy. I'm seeing all sorts of figures float by, including $67 billion for defense spending, $11 billion in farm aid that would then be there to try to court folks who have not been supportive of Trump's priority, which is this Save America Act, this voting act. There's supposed to be a primetime speech by the president tonight. I think a lot of people are thinking it will have to do with this Save America Act. I know that they're marking up a measure today on the House floor to try to get the Republicans in line to pass some sort of reconciliation bill and budget framework. What is the likelihood that parts of the SAVE Act pass, that some of these benefits, or are they benefits, will go to support farmers? What's happening with this reconciliation process?
Well, first of all, whatever the House does, the Senate has to do as well. And I don't believe the votes are there for the SAVE Act. And by the way, last time I checked, elections are already happening in this country. Primaries are going on. So you're talking about changing all the rules now, making it more difficult for women whose names are different than the name that appears on their birth certificate, making it more difficult for them to be able to vote, causing all kinds of confusion. Talk about chaos. But I don't believe they have the votes for the SAVE Act. They're going to continue to try, but I don't think they have the votes. And on this reconciliation stuff, again, we have to see how it all turns out, but we're told that there may be cuts to Medicare, or there may be cuts to Medicaid. No requirement that billionaires or corporations pay more, but basically requirements for everybody else to pay more. That's their screwed up priorities, and I think we have to be prepared to fight it. I will see what happens in the markup today in the Budget Committee. It'll be before the Rules Committee next week. But this is crazy. This is not what people want. They want the government to actually work for them and to help them, and not to screw them over, and that's what's going on right now.
There was also a sort of symbolic vote with 100 Democrats voting against aid to Israel that nobody believes this will actually become law, but it sort of signifies a sea change in opinion when it comes to our nation's relationship to the state of Israel. Tell us about that. House vote, which ultimately lost, and where you stood on that particular bill.
It's a big deal. I mean, 100 votes, more than 100 votes, because there were a number of people who voted present. I think it's a big deal. It's the biggest number, I think, ever that has voted on a measure to deny Israel offensive weapons. So I think that is a big deal. It symbolizes the fact that people are getting fed up with sending welfare, offensive military weapons to Netanyahu, who uses them to commit war crimes. So I supported it strongly. I helped lobby votes for it. But I do think it is a wake-up call. People are horrified by what's going on. That's not how they want their taxpayer dollars to be used. It's also a wake-up call to the administration that things are changing here. And by the way, the amendment was actually offered by a Republican, Thomas Massie from Kentucky. The entire Massachusetts delegation, I'm very proud to say, voted yes on this. And, we have members who voted yes who have never voted yes on anything similar to this in the past. So it shows that things are changing and people care about human rights. I wish it would have passed, but I think it was a very significant and important vote.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, McGoverning with McGovern, a listener question from Carol who writes, I heard the other day that DOJ is no longer funded in this new fiscal year and that there will be no final report on this quote-unquote department's activities. Is this true? Should not there be an accounting? Is there a way to compel such an accounting?
Yeah, many of us are asking for an accounting of all that DOJ did and all that DOJ spent. Whether or not the administration will listen to us or not is another story. But it was terribly mismanaged. It made arbitrary cuts across the board in programs that people who were part of DOJ had no idea what the value of these programs were. There are people in this country and people around the world who are less well off because of all of this. It eliminated USAID. More people in the world are going to starve because of the recommendations of this commission. But there should be an accounting. And if we can't compel the administration to do it, because they should do it, then we should try to see whether we can pass a resolution to compel them.
While everyone was wondering what the status of Senator Mitch McConnell was health-wise, on Sunday, another senator from the Republican Party, Lindsey Graham, passed away. Your thoughts on the passing of Lindsey Graham?
Well, condolences to his family. But I don't really want to say any more because, I'm a little frustrated with people trying to rewrite history simply to sound nice in the aftermath of his passing. Lindsey Graham, did a lot of damage to this country. And every time I see the Capitol Police who protect the Capitol, I think of Lindsey Graham, who originally, after the attack on January 6th, expressed outrage and condemned Donald Trump, and then 3 days later came out in full defense of Donald Trump and basically, cheered on the pardon of all those who attacked the Capitol, who beat up the people who protect us. So, yeah, a complicated man. Again, condolences to his family, but that's about all I can say.
There allegedly is an FBI investigation into his death. Lindsey Graham was a vocal proponent of Ukraine and opponent of what Russia was doing there. Russia has been known to assassinate folks using various means like poisons. Do you think there is any merit to the conspiracy theory? Do you know anything about the investigation? I know that the president questioned why federal agents are investigating this.
Well, I think Kash Patel, who heads up our FBI, said that they're going to be involved because he wanted to seem relevant. But there's no evidence at all that there was any foul play here. And the Russians, do kill leaders in other countries, but have not been killing leaders here in the United States. My understanding is that based on the medical reports that, it was a heart issue, plain and simple. Other than Kash Patel saying he is prepared to assist and help, any mention of the FBI since then is kind of dissipated.
On a seemingly lighter note, but that might have some unintended consequences, the Sunshine Protection Act earlier this week passed the House of Representatives. That would make daylight saving time permanent, not standard time, the kind of time that we're in right now. How did you vote on the Sunshine Protection Act?
Well, I voted yes, but it allows states, if they want to opt into standard time, to do so as well. If you want permanent standard time, you can do that as well. What I hear from my constituents is they don't like the exercise of turning back or turning forward their clocks, and I share that view. But I'm not sure that it's going anywhere in the Senate. And as I said on the House floor, with all the struggles that we are facing right now in this country and on this planet, this is what the focus is a little bit silly. But if you ask me my preference, I don't like turning back and turning forward my clocks.
I think a lot of people think that. I'll just say, as your constituent, we had several years ago a Springfield-based sleep specialist, Dr. Karen Johnson, on the show, who thinks we should stop the shenanigans of continually moving the clocks back and forth, but that we should be in permanent standard time, not daylight time. We tried this experiment in the 1970s. Nixon signed it into law, and within the year, it was repealed. The sun wouldn't rise until around 8:30, some places as late as 9. Kids were going to school in the dark. Supposedly, there were several deaths in Florida because of how dark it was, because of the change in time. So, as your constituent now, hat on, I say, if you're going to do it, do it in standard time, not in daylight time.
Well, and the state can do that right now if they want to. So you should lobby the state legislature. The opposite argument has been made too as well, because a lot of kids who play sports coming home when it's really dark at night, and a lot of the medical expertise actually focuses on the fact that our systems suffer from the different changes, going from one to the other, going back to the other. In any event, this is not something that I spend a lot of time anguishing over, but I think states, legislatures, and governors in some states will go to standard time permanently. They're more than welcome to do that. They just got to do it before this bill becomes law, and I think we have a lot of time before this bill becomes law, if ever. But in any event, this is an interesting discussion, and I'm sure it's important to some people. But the fact of the matter is people can't afford their groceries. People can't afford their rents. I mean, we spent $100 billion in an illegal war in Iran with all the stuff that we really need to address, that this is what was brought to the House floor, and this is the urgent matter. It just seems a little bit off to me.
U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, what's giving you hope this week?
Well, you know what? Yesterday, I addressed a group of Gen Zers who were in Washington, talking about hunger and nutrition. The last time I addressed this group was, a couple of years ago, and there's like 25 people that showed up, and now hundreds of people are showing up, and they've filled up the congressional auditorium, but they're all here to lobby members of Congress on the need to make sure we end hunger and that we promote better nutrition. And I just thought it was great that so many came to the nation's capital during this heat wave, and are spending the next few days lobbying members of Congress and members of the Senate. So every time you kind of think that, boy, things are screwed up here, then you feel hopeful when you see that there are really good and decent people in this country.
U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts joins us each Thursday, although I'll notify your office. I'll be off next Thursday because I'm going to Spain and Portugal for a week.
Oh, can I go?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great. We'll watch the World Cup final with Spain in it in Spain. That would be nuts, even though it's actually happening in New Jersey. Anyway.
They're two incredible, beautiful countries. So
I can't wait. You can get your questions in for the congressman, though, and I'll ask them next time he's on the show in a fortnight. Send it to thefab413@nepm.org. Thanks so much, Congressman.
All the best.
Coming up, more musical outlets in Greenfield as we talk with Mike Pfitzer of Second Congregational Church about their newly launched concert series, and hear from the performer you can catch at their very first show, Gillian Grogan.
Up next, 3 generations of agricultural evolution in Ludlow with Karen Randall of Randall's Farm.
You're listening to The Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Time for another Local Hero Spotlight with Claire Morneau from CISA, the Local Hero folks, and the legendary Karen Randall of Randall's Farm in Westfield. You are an
in Ludlow.
Ludlow. Randall's Farm in Ludlow.
Stereo sound.
You are an iconic voice on the radio, as well as an iconic farm/farm stand. Tell us about the first Randall of Randall's Farm.
The first Randall of Randall's Farm was my grandfather, who grew turkeys during World War II on the farmland that is Randall's Farm. The Randall's Farm store and farm that some people remember from 30 years ago, my father actually built in 1962, and that was the first farm stand. So he was the second. But in between the turkeys, there were chickens and egg production, like many New England farms started that way in poultry.
Mm-hmm.
And then my father was an entrepreneur and delivered eggs all over the Pioneer Valley and came home with products from other farms like asparagus and cider. And my mother sold them with fresh eggs in front of a little house with a shed next to it, which is very close to the existing Randall's farm. And that was the first little farm stand. I am told that my brother and I were in a playpen on the porch while she ran out to wait on the occasional customer. And then in 1962, my father took the big dive and built his first farm stand, which is now the Elsie's Creamery building.
Mm-hmm.
That continued until 1997, when I opened what we know now as Randall's Farm and Greenhouse and Elsie's Creamery. My father passed away in 1987. He was 54 years old.
Wow.
So I was in my early 30s, and it took me about 10 years to really decide what was going to happen. Being the type of person whose busman's holiday was looking at every new farm stand all over the Northeast.
It's in your blood.
And we
it.
grew a lot of field crops, too. We grew strawberries for 40 years, and tomatoes and cucumbers and squash and all those kind of things that everybody grows and sells in the valley. And we grew a lot of specialty things, Swiss chard and radishes and things like that. And once my dad died, we kind of scaled it down a little bit. And then we had some labor changes, and it was very hard to hire farmers. So about 2008, after 40 years of growing strawberries, I reluctantly stopped growing them because I was the farmer and the retail person, too, in a brand new big building. But my mom and dad started it. You know, my two sisters jumped. Of course, we always worked. We all grew up washing squash and cukes and pickles and picking beans and strawberries and doing all those kinds of things together. When the new store came to be, we all had a little chat, and they left great jobs and came on board to Randall's Farm this edition. I call it my new store. It's old now. Next year it'll be 30 years. This year it's 29 years. Older than most of you listening, probably.
This is public radio, so no.
And older than most of my employees who think I'm their grandmother.
You have a creamery on site, but at no point in this farm's illustrious history did you mention anything about dairy.
My mom says, as we were talking last night, my mom's 93.
Wow.
Oh.
And she still lives next to the existing farm. And as we were reminiscing, and she said, yes, they not only had chickens, but your father had some cows.
Ah.
And she said, and when he went hunting, I had to milk the cows. But we didn't have a big dairy. Ludlow had a lot of small dairies in those days. And we just had a few cows because I think my father liked them. We were mostly egg producers. The creamery actually was born out of, we had closed the old store, moved into the new store. And, you know, if you dream it, maybe you can do it. And I had a good friend who had helped me in the transition from the old store to the new store. And in Ludlow, there used to be Miller's Dairy Bar, where there is now a hotel and a Taco Bell. Okay.
Okay, I know exactly where you're talking about now.
Yes. And they had Hortense the cow, was a neon cow that was up there. Chuck and I started talking about Miller's Dairy Bar and me saying, I always wanted to buy Miller's Dairy. It's a shame. This is what's happened, blah, blah, blah. And Chuck, who was probably maybe 50 at the time, and he said, I have one more entrepreneurial career left in my life, Karen. And he went to Penn State and took the ice cream short course in January of 1998. And in June of 1998, Elsie's Creamery was born, which is named after my mom, Elsie.
Oh, that's so nice. And we'll say that the fifth Beatle of the Fabulous 413, Jerry, who helped Karen get into the studio today, I overheard him while you were loading in all the goodies that you brought, that the Elsie's Creamery is his favorite ice cream, bar none.
We have made ice cream in small batches since 1998. And July is National Ice Cream Month. So in honor of that, I brought you some ice cream, strawberry, that a lot of times has local strawberries in it, and Dark Side of the Moon, just to kind of reminisce about where...
The Artemis Space Mission, Pink Floyd, it could be the astronomy thing that we did this week with our membership listeners. There's no shortage of that. So what's strawberry ice cream is self-explanatory. What's in Dark Side of the Moon?
Dark Side of the Moon is chocolate ice cream with a caramel swirl and chocolate-covered caramels.
I love it. Dark Side of the
That
Moon.
sounds delicious. Yes.
So Randall's Farm and Greenhouse is not a small-scale farm store. You have like prepared foods, you have a bakery. I'm curious about how you decided to make the leap in 1997 from a smaller scale store to really kind of a full-service grocery store.
Well, we had outgrown our existing farm stand. And I always thought, okay, we need a better loading dock, we need a bigger cooler, we need to get rid of some of the things we have and add some new things. We had a beer and wine license, which we still have. It was one of these things, am I going to get all the way out or get all the way in? I turned a certain age, I was single, I had no kids. So what do? Do you like just jump ship or do you jump in both feet? And with the help of a lot of people who I did a very informal, independent survey of that I thought were smarter and more successful than I was, I jumped in both feet. And Farm Credit Bank was my partner. I built something much bigger than I had envisioned. We always had like plants, and so we built a big garden center, which probably should have been a big kitchen because of the way the trends and what people do. And we kept growing produce. We built a big cooler and loading dock. And my dad always used to say to me, what do you want to get bigger for? You're going to have to work harder. And I was like, no. This is going to be easier to work in. We're going to have all these managers. And now he's passed away. I'm walking around in that store and I can hear him saying, and what do you want to get bigger for? You're going to have to work harder.
We're talking with Karen Randall from Randall's Farm in Ludlow and Claire Morneau from CISA, the local hero, folks.
As you mentioned, you're not farming at Randall's Farm anymore. So talk about some of the partnerships that you have with local farms to maintain your stock at Randall's Farm.
We have lots of partnerships. I call them my farmer friends because when you grow up in the valley and you grow up in farming like I did, and when things have happened to you in your life, like people have passed and left, and these wonderful people step in and say, Karen, remember your strawberries need an inch of water a week when we're growing strawberries, and Karen, don't forget to file your 61As with the town. And
what's that?
It's like a tax lien the town has to give you a tax break for farming, keeping your land in farmland. All these people would help me, and as we farmed less and less, I bought more and more. So, we start in the spring. The first crop is usually asparagus. With Dan Smorowski in Sunderland, I bought from his aunt and uncle before Dan. Norse Farm for berries, who were my partner in growing. And Tim Norse I can't say enough about because he was right there on the other end of the phone anytime I had a question growing berries. And now I'm still buying, at this time of July, beautiful strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, black raspberries.
See previous episode for our time over there at North Farm. Tim Nurse, as we know he likes to call it. Keeps the connection to the Salem witch trials.
I listened to that.
Appreciate it.
And then we have Calabrese Farm in Southwick, East Long Meadow, Meadowbrook Farm, McKinstry Farm, all for different things during the summer. We incorporate a lot of local produce into what we do. Prepared food grew exponentially. It was not what I anticipated. And, it's 40% of what we do today. But right now is a wonderful time for produce. Corn is lovely, just getting really lovely. Yellow squash, green squash, pickling cucumbers. It's all exploding right now. And, everybody can't wait for tomatoes when you're going to have tomatoes. But we have some beautiful tomatoes from Fairview Farm in Whately from their greenhouses that taste delicious. We try to buy our flowers in the spring as local as we can. We're all about local because that's my route. Somebody might say, well, it's cheaper from here or blah, 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 price-wise. And, you have to be competitive. But I try to stay and support the people that are doing the work locally, that are marketing locally, that are putting out a great product. Like CISA always said, the trip from the farm to the table is very short when it's local. And that's what we try to emphasize. I'm passionate about it.
That's Karen Randall from Randall's Farm in Ludlow and Claire Morneau from CISA, the local hero, folks.
So Randall's Farm has been a member of CISA's Local Hero program probably since the beginning, 25 plus years. And so you've been connected, obviously, through, your own childhood and family background, but also through CISA to this larger local food movement. I'm curious, what your observations are about what has changed.
A lot's changed. There are not the same people. Farms have changed. There are less local flower growers than there ever were. That's been a real issue the last couple years. I mean, we had a farm in Northfield, 5-acre farm, which closed in. I actually closed it in 2018 and sold it to Tim Nurse.
I drove by there over the weekend at the Northfield Drive-In.
And their farmer works at Norse now.
Yeah. And Aaron works at Norse, and also their production manager. She's still in the industry. She was fantastic. So we did that for 11 years after my brother passed. And then, so we lost our main supplier of flowers. Then we had another person from West Springfield that we always bought from forever, and they retired last year. So that's a big change. Vegetables, generationally, they have changed their focus somewhat. Suppliers have said, okay, we don't know if we're going to have this next year. We may or we may not. So it sends you on a scramble. That's what has changed. And inputs have changed, prices have changed dramatically. As everybody knows, produce prices are crazy. I'm selling a quart of strawberries for $8.99, and when I produced them, they were $2.99 or $1.99, and it wasn't a lifetime ago. I don't want to see more changes because I don't want to lose more producers, and I think that is eventually what's going to happen. We're old. A lot of the solid producers that I've done business with for a long time are old, and some of them have new generations and some of them don't. And that's difficult. Farming is hard, and it is not lucrative. I mean, on certain scales it can be, but you have to love it. You have to be passionate. Farmers work from 5:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night or longer, or they get up all night and run irrigation pumps. And I don't think that the consumer understands what it takes to produce the food that they eat and complain about the prices that they have to pay. And when I get something, we're open year round. I buy produce from all over the country, all over the world, because there isn't always a local supply. And when I get something inexpensive that came all the way from California, I say, what did that poor farmer get? He got nothing. Like, I barely paid for the packaging on this. I think the way produce is marketed in big stores and chain stores, it's marketed as an attraction, but not the value. And the problem with produce that you can't keep the value is that it's so perishable that you have to sell it. So you have to sell it at any price. The question is always, I always say the first loss is the best loss. So if I have something that I paid $10 for and it's going to be bad in 2 days, I might sell it for $5 because I'm going to get something.
Yeah.
That's the problem with produce. People say, why is it so expensive? Supply. If there's no supply, it's expensive. If there's a beautiful supply, if it's the best product, that's when it's the least expensive, and that's sad. Because anything else, the premium gets the best price. In produce, if there's huge production and it might be the most beautiful product of the season, the price is low if everybody's producing it like that. And the premium does not get the best price. That's the pitfalls of farming. It's hard for people to commit to this lifestyle forever. And labor is a big issue for farming. It's hard work. And no matter how you mechanize it, it's still hard work. And I think the consumer has to understand that. Farmers sure do. And they're passionate about what they do, and that's why they do it.
That's Karen Randall from Randall's Farm in Ludlow and Claire Morneau from CISA, the local hero folks. Karen, you did bring a lot of stuff with you. What do we have here?
I just wanted to show you that we take the local, we do a lot of prepared food, but we try to incorporate as much local as we can. So this time of year, we talk about blueberry sour cream pie. And the blueberries come from Westfield, from Kaczynski Farm. And I have partnered with Kaczynski for years. I actually had an ad at one time on the radio that said, we get the call around the 4th of July, the blueberries are ready. It's Gene and Sue Kaczynski, and written by Joe O'Rourke, of course.
I was going to say, that sounds like Joe.
That definitely sounds like Joe.
Yes, and Karen is the iconic voice of Randall's Farm, which is, you have a wonderful radio voice. I kind of alluded to that at the beginning here.
You're giving me too much credit because some of my radio voice is Tonya King.
Right, I know that. Tonya King, another radio professional, sounds like Tonya King, but you are also on some of the ads too.
I am.
Yeah, right.
I am. Yeah. And I'm on the TV ads. If you see me, you know it's me.
And today, I saw an ad for Randall's Farm in the Republican.
There we go.
Like right at the bottom.
You can't voice the newspaper, unfortunately.
And then I brought cider donuts, always made with local cider. Carlson Orchards in Massachusetts, sometimes Breezeland Orchards apples. When it's their apples, it's labeled Breezeland. And then I brought cucumber salad, one of my favorites. I eat it almost every day all summer, made with local cucumbers and just white vinegar, salt and pepper, a little bit of sugar. Delicious. So that I brought a bowl of that. So I want you all to dig in.
Gonna have a picnic.
Yes.
So you have ice cream, you have donuts, you have blueberry sour cream pie.
And we have a vegetable to make us feel better about the rest of it.
And you have something healthy. It's all healthy. In moderation.
In its own way, yes.
Moderation.
I want to try all of these things, but I wanted, you were mentioning that you don't farm the fields at Randall's Farm anymore, but they're still farmed.
They are.
Yeah.
We sell local beef. And our local beef is from Bud Ellison, who I think you interviewed.
We did.
On a very cold day.
Yeah.
And Bud is...
Cute Hereford.
He's a fireman, he's a farmer. But Bud's a lot of things, and a great friend. So Bud grows field corn for his cattle, beef cattle, at Randall's Farm on our land. And he plants our winter rye and bales the straw. So we sell tons of straw in the fall for ornamental use and all other kinds of uses. And hay. It started when we had a corn maze, and Bud planted the corn maze. And then evolved into let's partner and keep the land open and in agriculture until we figure out where we're going and if we're going to get back into growing field crops, because we grew field crops forever. So it's very good for our land. It's good for Bud, and we have a great working relationship. We plant a little patch of sunflowers and have fun with those. And that's about all. We do some flowers in the spring in our greenhouses for retail sales, but have gotten away from most of the field crop farming. And a lot of it is labor. I had to make a choice. Am I going to manage a farmer, or am I going to manage this big retail and support all my farmer friends? So that's the choice that I made. So we keep in farming, keep the land open, keep it committed to local agriculture by partnering with Bud.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to try the cucumbers.
Okay. It's taste test time.
Wow.
Karen is lifting up the pies.
Oh, this is...
Khalees
there's
is-
more in here than just what you said. There's red onion, and I think is there radish too?
No, just red onion.
Just red onion? Yeah.
Just red onion.
Give it a little bit of a kick for the cucumber salad. Then what's that ice cream you've got in that little plastic bag?
Ice cream
Yeah, we better
in there.
Yeah.
You have a freezer, I hope.
We do.
We do.
We're going to have to do an all-staff email.
This is delicious.
Yeah,
I'm so glad.
The cucumber salad is very refreshing. It's air-conditioned here in the studio, but I can imagine on a hot day eating this would be so refreshing and nourishing.
Well, and it's light, it's a perfect summer thing.
Yeah, it's really well balanced. It's neither too sweet nor too sour, just perfectly in the middle.
Taste it today. Sometimes, could be a little too much vinegar, but
I like it vinegary and a little bit of the sweetness. It's delicious.
So do the
Well,
prepared
good.
foods at the store change a lot throughout the seasons?
well, we have standards. Like cucumber salad is only a summer thing because we only make it when there are cucumbers that don't have wax. Most cucumbers have a little bit of food wax coating on them when they come from other places to keep them fresh. So local cucumbers don't. And then our vegetable selections, we make entrees every night. So the side dishes will be more like local asparagus when there's local asparagus, or this time of year, a lot of grilled vegetables with yellow and green squash and those kind of things. They change daily. We make chicken pot pies. Well, they go on vacation for the summer, we say, because it's too hot for chicken pot pies.
Yeah.
So those change. We make a lot of different salads, like pasta salads and potato salad, more flavors in the summer, where the rest of the year we have standards, bean salads and things like that. So we do change it up. Pies, we only make blueberry sour cream pie now through Labor Day. We make strawberry pies only at the peak, June, local strawberry season. We make apple cake all year round and apple crisp because they're favorites. But some of these things we make, we make strawberry shortcakes in parfait cups. We make those with fresh strawberries in June, and then we
already
switch
missed it
to other things.
And what a year for strawberries it was.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
But
and,
now it's
and
blueberries.
rub it
still,
in.
And from North, I hear I may have fresh strawberries all summer because they're picking ever-bearing strawberries in their high tunnels.
They're doing all that technological insight into what strawberries can last for how long, and so there you go. You're reaping the benefits at Randall's.
And they're always looking at varieties that bear at different times, too.
I was there on Saturday myself doing the pickup and got to talk to everybody there. And it's always good to touch base in person and find out how long they think things are going to last. And he said, we could have strawberries all summer for you, Karen, depending what happens weather-wise. And it's an experiment this year because they're picking a different culture. They're always visionaries on the berry scene from the very beginning, and always with, the first tissue culture lab and all of that kind of thing. So I hope they're going to stay in fresh berries forever, because fresh berries are a sideline, as they said, of what they actually do. But it's also like the trial for what these berries are going to look like, taste like. So as long as they continue to grow that trial, hopefully we'll continue to have fresh berries.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Connecting the dots from the other farms we visited on these local hero spotlights, and see the reaping the benefits of these strawberries at Randall's farm in Ludlow.
You mentioned that when you were growing up, Ludlow had a number of, smallish scale dairy farms. And I think of Randall's farm as really kind of a central hub in Ludlow in terms of local food access. I'm curious just like how the town, what your observations are about how the town has changed around you and how you see Randall's as fitting into the community.
All I wanted to do is build a better store, easier to work in. And it has evolved into this community hub, as you say. The town grew, and because of our location near the turnpike, we also benefited from the growth of like Belchertown, South Hadley, Chicopee, all the surrounding communities. So for us, our location was the biggest asset I think that we had. And then putting out a good product and doing a good job and welcoming people and our values. The customer's always right. My mission statement, everyone's like, what's your mission statement? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't pay a lot of attention to that kind of thing. But when we built the new store, I wanted happy customers and happy employees. It's always a challenge and something that we're always working at. So the community, we're in a great community, and we're surrounded by great communities that give us a great labor pool for teenagers. And I'm very proud of a lot of my alumni who have gone on to achieve. Some of them, I'm sure I don't even know how great they are, but others, I have a soap opera star who was a Randall's alumni. And I have a woman who is a partner in a WNBA basketball team, partner. I have a young man who did a stint second to the chief of the SEC in Washington, but is the Northeast supervisor for Cooper's, Liber, and Price Waterhouse, and you think, okay, these were kids that worked at Randall's, So a lot of successes, that makes us happy. It's a great community.
Yeah.
And it's a great valley. Great farmers, great support. CISA, raising the awareness of local farming to people who have stepped a couple generations away from it. Our farm always, when my father was farming, we had a lot of people that immigrated from Portugal that worked in a factory at night, and they worked on the farm in the morning because they came from farms. They were farmers. They had 2 jobs. It was great. Their kids pick strawberries, It's a different environment now, and that type of labor pool doesn't exist. And those generations have stepped away from what it was. So CISA, I think, keeping that in the forefront is very important.
Thank you. Yeah, you talk to older folks, further north in the valley, and so many people worked on tobacco farms when they were kids.
Yeah.
You hear that so often,
but,
and that's changed so much in terms of...
I forget my age, and, Ludlow was a lot of little dairies. The school bus was like a rural route to go up Center Street, and now it's full of beautiful homes, and the dairies have long gone. And, we had Halleck's Dairy, we had Shenyer's Dairy, we had Miller's Dairy, just to name a few. We had Daylight Dairy, Zarland's, in one town. And, none of that exists. And then we're trying to support Maple Line Farm and our family farm and carry their products. Whether they, we don't they don't do a huge volume, and they're not competitive because of the
federal restrictions.
Well, and I think the convenience stores of the world that give milk away, and the club stores that give milk away. But we're in it with them, and we sample eggnog from Maple Lion at Christmas.
Oh, yum.
Things like that. So
Do you make an eggnog ice cream?
sometimes,
Okay.
that's a fall, because the creamery windows are shut, we close the creamery like in October for the window service. We make ice cream all year, though. We
Right.
sell half gallons all year.
Yes. Which was the other good thing for me to learn because it is very, very difficult to get local milk in Hampden County. So my partner who drinks milk like your
My
13-year-old.
yeah.
And my insistence that we make sure that the milk that we're drinking is local, even though Hood is local milk. But like getting it from individual dairies definitely feels better, like more direct support. And getting that in Hampden County has been difficult until I went to Randall's and I'm like, oh, I have options.
Ta-da.
This is great.
And we have another new one, Pila's, who's very
Yeah.
small.
I've had them too. They're very good.
We have his milk, too. So we have 3 smaller dairies now. And we do have Hood.
Hood's our big little milk.
Yeah.
Local
Right,
milk
right,
place.
because-
Just drove by the factory when I dropped my wife off at the airport earlier.
And it's good to remember, like, Hood is, like, it's local dairies that all pile their milk to make Hood.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to put out an all staff so that the whole NEPM crew can taste the pies and the ice cream. And we're going to keep the cucumber salad, I think, for ourselves. But we appreciate you bringing the bounty of Randall's Farm here to the NEPM studios,
I wanted
Karen
to
Randall.
show you, we don't farm per se, but we support farmers and we incorporate the local products into what we do every day and are very conscious of that, mindful.
And that's what CISA does every day, too,
Yeah.
trying to remind us all about the importance of our local food systems and supporting those local farms.
The conduits are just as important.
And and the family farms, our farm is still, my 2 sisters, 2 of my nieces are with us. My mom still tells us what she loves and what she doesn't love about is what we're doing.
Farmer Emerita.
Well, maybe we should ask before we wrap up what your favorite things are. You mentioned the cucumber salad, but like if somebody were coming, if a VIP were coming to Randall's and you wanted to really wow them, what would you point them towards?
The ice cream, the cucumber salad, the blueberry sour cream pie, the things that I brought you. Also the produce that is so spectacular right now coming from local farms. The corn's delicious. The berries are sparkling beautiful. That's what I would point them towards.
Karen Randall from Randall's Farm in Ludlow, the 3rd generation of that farm there. And Claire Morneau from CISA, the local hero folks. You can find out about all of our local heroes, many of whom are supplying Randall's Farm with all their good stuff at buylocalfood.org. Thank you both so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
And now to learn how the Second Congregational Church in Greenfield is getting more music into the downtown of that city known as the town of Greenfield with a new concert series from Mike Pfitzer and Gillian Grogan.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hello.
Okay.
Is it okay if I'm vertical?
Yeah, totally fine.
Cool.
Like, we're probably not going to use the video for this because we just...
That's good because I didn't shave today, so
We just-
That's good
Even
because I
better.
haven't showered in like 4 days like a proper musician.
Well, you are on tour, so, like, that's allowable. It's fine.
Thank you.
Even with
Thank
if it were
you.
TV, we would still not be able to smell you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Smell-o-vision is
Super.
not real.
Not yet.
Please
not
don't
yet.
smell me.
Every time somebody says a fun phrase that could possibly be a really good album title, and I feel like that's one. Please don't smell me.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. Starting on July 27th, the Second Congregational Church in Greenfield is launching a brand new live concert series featuring local and national music in their sanctuary, nestled right there in downtown.
With us to talk about the acts headed to Franklin County are their first headliner, singer-songwriter Gillian Grogan, as well as the organizer of this lineup, minister of music at Second Congregational Church, Mike Pfitzer.
Mike Pfitzer has a wealth of church and community choral experience. Prior to becoming director of arts at Deerfield Academy in 2021, he taught at the University of Albany, Framingham State, Boston University, and Harvard. Heard of it? He served as director of music at the First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton for 9 years and has led community choruses of 50 to 150 members in the Boston and Cambridge area.
And also, he's the drunk historian for Drunk
Oh,
Opera.
yeah, we're going to get into that.
Indie avant folk artist Gillian Grogan is sharing her evolving signature sound with audiences from Seattle to Boston, Asheville to Denver, Bozeman to the Bay, and many towns in between. Her forthcoming release, Ants in the Garden, made a huge splash as one of the top 5 finalists in last year's NPR Tiny Desk contest. Heard of that too. Her debut album, Neither Lost Nor Found, rumbles with a thirst for adventure, devastating loss, and hopeful love. Grogan recently finished recording her second studio album, Honeymoon, with Grammy-nominated co-producer Ben Bloomberg and Grammy-nominated recording engineer Damian Lewis.
She'll be performing on July 27th along with Vermont's Cricket Blue as part of this new music series at Second Congregational Church in Greenfield. Welcome to you both.
Thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
Mike, let's start with why start a concert series for Second Congregational Church?
Yeah, we are a very music-full congregation here in Greenfield, and I think our community is really excited about the possibility of bringing great music to the Valley whenever we get the opportunity to do it. People in our community are highly motivated to bring artists like Gillian here, not just for our church, although that's a nice benefit, but also for the whole community. And there are some church-connected coffee house series around, but we felt that there was the appetite for more, and so we're really excited to have Gillian kicking off our series.
We mentioned in your bio, Mike, that you are Director of Arts at Deerfield Academy, but that you've been all over the place. Is Deerfield Academy what brought you to the Valley in the first place?
It is. And so I started at Deerfield Academy in 2021. I was looking for a new position because I had just had my daughter in 2019. My daughter, Hallie, was born. And my wife and I were looking for a place where we could sort of settle with our family and get everything we needed. And we brought our daughter to the Valley to check out Deerfield when I was interviewing. And she jumped out of the car from Boston and yelled, "A tractor!" and ran around the field for the next hour and a half with a huge smile on her face. So we knew this was the right place for us. And it's been really great to get to work at Deerfield with our wonderful students and our community here as well.
And so Deerfield wasn't enough work for you, so you decided to get involved with the church and to try to create your own music series here. What brought you to the church, apart from your vast choral experiences?
Yeah, I live right in downtown Greenfield, and so I'm a member of that community. And my initial job was part-time at Deerfield. I'm now full-time there, but one of our core tenets is that the artists who are teachers at Deerfield are also practicing artists in the community. And so I added the second church job when it became available to get an opportunity to work with a different subset of our population. And I just really love the community at Second Church. The people there are very appreciative of the arts and culture that come into our normal Sunday programming, but also that just sort of are a key part of the life of the church and the interests of the church.
How did you encounter Gillian's work to make her the first concert for this new series?
Yeah, one of our church members was familiar with Gillian. Lori brought her to my attention, and Gillian was in the process of organizing this tour that she's been on. We saw the potential to have a stop on the tour here in Greenfield. The Valley is well located often for artists who are touring all around the country as sort of stops between other major locations. And so I'm sure Gillian will talk about this at some point, but she's playing at Passim in Boston and some other places in the Northeast. And so often it's a really nice sort of convenient location for artists to come to. And so we were hopeful that we could make a date work in the calendar. And Lori didn't have to sell me very hard on Gillian's music once I got the opportunity to hear it.
That's Mike Pfitzer, who is behind the Second Congregational Church of Greenfield's brand new concert series that will feature our other guest, Gillian Grogan.
So we've mentioned that you were one of the top finalists in last year's NPR Tiny Desk contest, but you've actually entered, I think, every year since the pandemic, and with like larger and larger productions each time. Talk about making those videos and like how the scale continues to increase for you.
I think that my journey on the Tiny Desk contest submission process is very reflective of my journey to becoming a community member here. Here am I in California? I am in California. Here in California, where I came in here and I knew one single person in the county where my parents live. That person hired me to help build a farm, and then I started ever so slowly meeting some of the musicians, and it's kind of like you see the first couple years totally solo, and then you see it start to build. At the end of this tour that I'm on right now, we're playing a show with like 12 musicians. It's never enough. I hear so much music in my mind and in my heart, and it's the honor of a lifetime to ask people to participate and help bring that out of my imagination and into this world to share so that other people can hear it too.
Gillian Grogan, do you play churches frequently? Are you making a church circuit in your concert? I know Passim is not a church. It's kind of like a church of folk music for Boston folks, but
I don't play a lot of churches. I certainly love playing at church. They are built to sound beautiful, and I am a singer first and foremost. And this album, most of my music is very harmony based. I think I learned how to sing harmony in a church. I did not participate in the choir because I wasn't consistent enough for choir. But I did sing all the different lines from the pews, and I jumped back and forth. It's a very safe place to try things because you're guaranteed to be surrounded by 3 tone deaf people at all times. So I would just jump around between the different harmony lines, and I learned how to sing like alto, soprano, mezzo, tenor, I don't know, baritone on occasion. I would just try stuff and see what worked. That's pretty much why I went to church as a kid. But yeah, it's great to be back in churches and singing into those hallowed halls, and they're born for it. They're made for it.
It feels like you should have played a First Congregational Church before you play a Second Congregational Church, though.
No one can agree on who is the first, at least if somebody's declaring they're the second. No one's fighting for second, which is the beautiful thing about saying you're the Second Congregational Church. Well, one of the many beautiful things. Also, who knew that churches were a hotbed of cluster chords?
This house ain't mine. Ain't much of a home without someone to hold. Now I think I had better move on. Leaving seems too easy when I'm driving alone. Anyway, I don't know where to go. Anyway, I don't know how to go. It's easier said than done. Easier to do nothing at all.
Actually, Gillian, can you talk about moving into having more harmony? Because your early work involves your voice in a lot of counterpoint with guitar, which in a really cool way. Talk about trying to incorporate more harmony into your current repertoire.
Okay, this is the part of the chat where I inform you that I am not very well music educated. I definitely did some music theory growing up, but I don't have a lot of lingo to talk through this.
No. Don't worry about technical.
In my own words,
there we go.
I just sing. I don't know how else to explain it. I've been singing harmony instead of melody since I was a kid in church. I just wander. I like to wander and play. It's my greatest form of play, and see what feels like home, what feels exciting, what feels like tension that I can't live without. I'm a big fan of dissonance, a little too long. All my harmony singers give me a hairy eyebrow. They're like, really? Really? Can we please resolve? Soon. I don't know. I've just always reached for notes in a pretty liberated way, I guess. I think maybe because I'm missing so much of the theory, and I've certainly heard this from friends who have all the theory, where they're like, I would never do, you wouldn't do that. That's not something that is often done. I'm like, well, I didn't know that. That's just where I went today. And then when I did it and I heard it, I thought, wow, that's cool. Or I thought, never again. I have come to find that I genuinely like these roaming harmony first takes. There's so many little imperfect chords in there, but they add a kind of flavor that, especially today with all the AI music that's crispy clean and could never be so sloppy as me, it's really charming.
Agreed. And as somebody with a music degree who writes a lot of dissonant things, you're totally there. Everybody's got the lane that creates the sounds that they like. I also really love frictive chords, like when notes are rubbing against each other. There's just something tingly about it.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's Gillian Grogan, who is the headliner for the first concert that Second Congregational Church in Greenfield is hosting, starting on July 27th. Mike Pfitzer, who is the minister of music at that church and who's curated this lineup. I know Vermont's Cricket Blue is also part of this series. Tell us about that group.
Gillian, do you want to mention that? Yeah.
No, I would love to.
Does the party worry if you keep it inside?
Laura and Taylor are old friends. I came up in the New England folk music scene, feeling very out of the club, and they were so welcoming, and they're so crazy talented. They sing, I think that their catchphrase is something like music that makes you weep into your tomatoes or something like that. It's really cute, but it's deeply harmonic, frictive harmonies in there as well.
Use it 3 times and it's yours.
It's storytelling. There are some of those those folk artists that can really carve a tale. Taylor wrote like a 15-minute song once. He's really telling the whole storybook. Their music, I was thinking about this yesterday because they teased a little snippet of a song from their new album that they're getting ready to release, and I felt like a child. I felt so excited and so much wonder and awe in the sounds that they create. Their new releases make me feel like a 5-year-old Gillian on Christmas Eve or something.
Oh, but here I read your name I found where I wouldn't.
That's so special. Anyway, don't miss them. Don't miss them.
And them is Cricket Blue, who will be performing alongside Gillian Grogan on July 27th, Second Congregational Church in Greenfield. Minister of Music, Mike Pfitzer. More in this series coming up to look forward to that you can tell us about?
Yeah, we are excited to welcome a group called Lumos Experiences. They've done a lot of concerts actually all over the world, and they're sort of known for their candlelight-driven mood setters for their performances. So you may see some of their ads on social media, and they are bringing some string musicians to feature an evening of the Beatles, so some Beatles songs. That's going to be on September 18th. Then on November 7th, we're welcoming a group called La Mimosa Collective, which is a women's collective of musicians from the Valley. And there's a mezzo-soprano, my wife, Caitlin Felsman, who's been on Fabulous 413 before,
yes.
Yep.
and a number of other musicians who will play some great music from the Romantic or 20th century eras up through today for chamber musicians. And then on December 12th, we're really excited to feature a group called the Pioneer Consort and a group called Twice as Smart, which is actually a group that is run through our church of really fabulous youth who engage in the program to study for school, but also make music as a part of it. And then we'll have more exciting events in 2027.
Twice as Smart has performed at the last, I believe, 3 Juneteenth celebrations in Greenfield, too. So if you went to one of those, you probably have seen them perform there.
It's among the more sort of moving concert experiences I have. These are kids from our local community who are deeply engaged in the work of community and its connection to arts.
Any more drunk opera things coming up, Mike?
Yeah. At the Iron Horse in December, we're going to be doing our annual Messiah gig that Caitlin talked about last time, so you get an opportunity to see that. And we'll also have one at the Iron Horse in October.
Love it. Gillian, even though you haven't won the Tiny Desk contest yet, what has been participating in it and ranking very highly in it done for like your ability to tour, your ability to promote yourself?
Yeah, I think you can probably guess that's helped a lot I book myself. I do everything myself at the moment, and it's opened a lot of doors. Being featured on NPR has opened a lot of doors. It's a lot of work to book a tour. It's a lot of emails. It's a lot of phone calls. It's a lot of giving out your phone number to people you don't know. But I can't say enough how much it's done. I've booked a few tours before, and I've never felt so responded to, I guess. It just gives that little bit of something, because we're all just moving so fast through these days of our lives. You know, as much as we'd love to think that everyone's clicking the links and watching the whole video and stuff, they're probably watching 15 seconds of anything that I send. And if I'm able to say, NPR liked it, that just means that they now feel they can dedicate 30 seconds. As a person who lives in a van and is, moved all over throughout her life, it's really sweet. Anytime that I feel welcomed and cherished by a community, it feels really powerful.
Well, I'm sure the community of Greenfield is eager to welcome you as well. It's a very welcoming community, and I'm sure the community of Second Congregational Church in Greenfield is even more welcoming there. We've been speaking with Gillian Grogan, who is headlining this concert series that's coming to Second Congregational Church in Greenfield. She will be there with Vermont's Cricket Blue on July 27th, and we've also been joined by the Minister of Music at Second Congregational Church, who's also at Deerfield Academy as
and our resident
Director
drunk
of Arts,
historian.
and a drunk opera historian, Mike Pfitzer. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having
Underfoot
us.
pile of leaves, I beg you please, I beg you please.
Check out the Second Congregational Church's website for more details or bands in town for tickets to that July 27th show with Gillian Grogan and Cricket Blue.
Tomorrow on the Fabulous 413, we'll hear the familial ties of taiko, that exciting style of drumming with Takumi Sato, who'll perform for free next week at Bombyx in Florence.
It's so cool. He performs with like his kids.
Yeah.
And plus Tycho like started as festival drumming. So like hopefully we'll get this a little bit more of the story out of him then. We'll also hear about the beautiful grounds, welcoming programs, and upcoming golf tournament fundraiser at Jericho in Holyoke.
Plus, we finally returned to the Wine Thunderdome, and we finally returned to Lenox for our Wine Thunderdome at Dare Bottle Shop and Provisions.
I mean, it's only been like half a year since we saw them.
Yes, with our good buddies Mary and Ben Dare right around the corner from Tanglewood there. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Kali Smith. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.